Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and of course, welcome back to the Baseball Hut. And hopefully, you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So, we're going to do a live stream outside today, but it's raining. It's raining. Believe that? God damn it. Excuse my language. God damn it. It is raining right now. It's supposed to not clear out of here, but it's supposed to let up later. Hoping they get the game in tonight. It's supposed to rain around 7 o'clock around here in New York, and then it's supposed to be good for the rest of the night. The weather's supposed to be better tomorrow, so I'll be able to do a live stream in the morning outside. You'd think I would have checked the weather before I said I was going to do a live stream outside last night. You'd think I would have done that. I normally check the weather, and I was like, I don't need to check the weather. I got up this morning. Son of a bitch, it's raining. Not a weatherman, I am. But it's going to clear out of here. I checked before for a little bit. I'll be back later at 2 o'clock. We're going to have a really long show later. I come on 9 o'clock because this is like the start of the business day for baseball, and the business time is now. Now, please, of course, like this video. I'm not going to do too long of a live stream right now. Probably go for about an hour. By 11 o'clock, I should be better around here, and got to run some errands, and then I'll be back at 2 o'clock. If there is a trade, if there's any kind of movement with the Mets, I will return in a regular video. I posted a video a little while ago about UC Kikuchi, that the Mets are kind of talking to him and talking to the Blue Jays, and maybe something could get done there. There is talk that Tariq Skubal could get moved. The Orioles are talking to the Tigers right now. So that is a something to keep an eye on if you're a big baseball fan. And we all are here. So, Skubal going somewhere, and particularly if he goes to the Orioles, that really puts the kibosh on whatever the Yankees are trying to do in the American League East. I noticed the Yankees won last night, beat up on the Red Sox pretty good. But the Mets this past weekend had a 4-game series against the Braves. They split the series. They won the first 2 games. They looked pretty damn good. And then they didn't hit much and did not pitch well the last 2 games. Tyler McGill and again, of course, David Peterson didn't show up. And did not pitch well. Either one of them did not pitch well this weekend. Talk about mediocrity. Basically, the same kind of monkey crap we've seen from them. The Mets cannot have them pitching back to back. That is an automatic 2-game losing streak. And funny, I should mention that it's a 2-game losing streak with the Mets. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 5-2 in their last 7 games, so there's no panic city here. But the Mets did not have a good weekend, and unfortunately, they go up against a pretty good team this week in the Twins. The Twins are really good. I believe they're in first place. So that's the Mets got a tough series, and then they go on a horrific road trip, starting in Anaheim. But Anaheim, they don't care. You talk about a franchise completely lost, and the Mets should do pretty well there. Then they go to St. Louis. Then they play. If I get the days messed up, sorry. But this road trip includes them going to St. Louis, doing a makeup game, which they were going to have Monday off. Then I think they go to Seattle. They go Seattle after that, and then they go to Colorado. It's just a crazy road trip. The road trip from hell. They have played well on the road, the Mets. Let me see. Let me see that schedule real quick. All right. So they play Anaheim. They play the Angels, the Mike Troutless Angels. Then they go to St. Louis. Then they play Colorado, and then they go to Seattle. A road trip from hell. I think once they get past that, they should be in pretty good shape. But then they play some rather interesting teams after. Interesting. The Oakland A's. They come back. They play the Oakland A's. Then the Marlins again. Then the Orioles. That's serious business when the Mets play the Orioles. Then they go back to go back to the West Coast on another hellacious road trip They play the Padres in a 4-game series, which, as you know, you pay attention, the Mets don't play well in San Diego in a 4-game series on the road. Then they played 3 games in Arizona. Luckily, unbelievably, they got a day off during this trip. Then they played 3 games in Arizona, and then they played 3 games against the White Sox. Yeah, that's some road trip. Then they come home. They play Boston, the Reds at home. Then they go to Toronto. Then they play the Phillies, which there's a good chance I'll be in Philadelphia on Friday, on the 13th. And then the Mets come home for their last homestand. They play the Nationals. Then they play the Phillies, and then they have another probably a nightmare road trip. 2 games against the Braves and 3 games against the Brewers. So the Mets have a kind of a tough schedule, but once they get through this road trip, that's really the test of this team. Is this road trip coming up after these games against the Twins, and then we'll have a pretty good idea where this team is, at least in terms of the wild card race. The Mets have been pretty good on the road so far this year. The Mets' problems are always at home for whatever reason. Uh, but yeah, so the Mets have to figure out how not to have Tyler McGill and David Peterson pitching back to back. You cannot have these guys pitching back to back because they do the same things over and over and over again. Constantly falling behind batters, constantly walking batters, constantly giving up home runs, long counts, not being able to put hitters away. It's the same BS that we've seen for the last 3 or 4 years from the two of them. And you cannot have them pitching back to back. Like I said, you'll have a 2-game losing streak on a regular basis. And the Mets can't afford now to lose any kind of games in a row. If you're going to lose a game, you lose a game, then you win the next game. You're better off going 5-5 and win one, lose one, win one, lose one, than to lose 2 games in a row, because then it puts you in a bad hole going forward. And now tonight, Jose Quintana pitches tonight for the Mets. I don't know who pitches for the Twins. Let me double check. I know they got the big guy on Wednesday. I would mention I'm on vacations. This is why I'm on so early today. I'm on vacation all week for you folks, so we can cover our team. The Mets sending Quintana on the mound today, and the Mets are going up against Simeon Woods Richardson, who's a former prospect in the Mets system. I believe he got traded in the Marcus Stroman deal. That's how long ago this is. Yes, he was traded for Marcus Stroman with Anthony Kay, I believe. I'm so good. Yeah, I'm so good. I am so good. Got such a good memory. I didn't even have to look at the Baseball Reference. Hello, an irresistible chicken sandwich. Hold on a second. Where's the bell? Where's the bell? Hold on a second. Got to set the bell up. An irresistible chicken sandwich. Morning. Having the morning decaf and wheat crackers. Oofa. Wheat crackers. Let's see what Simeon Woods is doing. He is right now, he's 3-1. He's started 17 games. Wow, he's got 13 no decisions. 88 innings pitched. 76 strikeouts. 8 home runs. He hasn't pitched that badly. Been with the Twins a few years. Let's take a look at his. Traded by the Blue Jays with Austin Martin to the Minnesota Twins for Jose Berrios. Interesting. This is the deadline 3 years ago. Wow, he's been there a long time. He's 23 years old. Mets drafted him in 2018. So he's part of the Jarrett Kelenic draft. Interesting. Let's Checking out something on my phone. It's all screwed up right now. Now, in the meanwhile, please, of course, like this video and hit the subscribe button. If you come around for the first time, this is a very unusual channel. It's not like all the other channels you follow. We have a hell of a lot more fun here, and looking to get better at this as well. I'm not polished, as you could tell. Not polished at all when it comes to doing this stuff. I should be after all these years, by the way. Just checking to see if anything's been upgraded. Nothing's been changed. An irresistible chicken sandwich says, "I wonder if the Mets are willing to give up prospects for starting pitchers if the prices are right." Hold on, so what the hell happened here? What happened here? That's the wrong button. From what I heard last night, the prices are crazy. The prices are really crazy there, Mr. Chicken Sandwich, Mr. Sandwich. The prices are outrageous right now. So the Mets are going to be very, like, how you say, modest, which is not something you want to hear. And little Andy Martino said the other day the Mets were going for it. You can't have a reporter saying, "Well, they're going to go for it. They're going for it," and then 2 days later, "Well, it doesn't seem like the fan base will be like, 'What's going on here?'" And then you'll have WFAN, those assholes, will have a meltdown. It's almost like somebody told them, "You're not getting your medication today," and that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be meltdowns. The sort of the callers that constantly call WFAN that are complete deranged lunatics complaining, "This is the Wilpon Mets. We don't want a guy from Milwaukee." I wonder if that asshole Beningo realizes that the Brewers have been a very good team for a long time. Complaining, "This is not Milwaukee." Steven Dilger says, "Hey, Hud, should we trade Marte?" Yes. But where you can trade him? He's on the injured list. He is a guy that is not playing, so he's not getting moved right now. He's got a contract. I would not have a problem moving him. That's probably something more for the off season. And if the Mets move him, they have to eat a big portion of that contract. He's got one more year on the contract, so he's definitely going to be out there, in the off season. Right now, you can't move him. He's hurt. But he's not going anywhere. I would move him. I would certainly move him. I mean, I think at this point, his age, you should move him. He did play well before he got hurt, but he's always hurt. He's always hurt. And when he comes back from these injuries, he doesn't play nearly as well. He basically drags his ass around when he's not 100%. He was fun to watch the first year until he got hurt, and then he was pretty much shot. And then he had those 2 surgeries that off season, and then he was terrible last year. And he played okay. It took him a while to get going here this year. But he's just always hurt. And which I knew he would be, but I didn't think that when he's not playing, he's not playing. If he's not 100%, he doesn't give you much, Steven. That's a big problem. But I certainly would move him. No, I wouldn't think twice about it. What would you get in return? Not a lot. But, you got to sort of start moving him out of here. Get rid of some of that money out of here. So I want to sort of talk about this Jesse Winker deal again. We talked about him a lot last night. I am not totally for that move because he is a role player. And I thought the way this team is, as you know, they needed somebody a little bit better than him to help this offense out. Okay. And they have it's a sort of a insurance policy for me to have a hitter that is much better than Jesse Winker. I know everyone's going crazy for him. Oh, his numbers are so good. But we went through the numbers last night with him, specifically 2 years ago. He played a lot 2 years ago for the Mariners. and his numbers were terrible across the board. His on base was terrible. His slugging was terrible. His average was terrible, and he played a lot more games than he had uh, from the past. Um, and that sort of told me a lot. And people, I had someone coming in arguing with me, were fine, but he's not an everyday player. And there's always sort of a quality of an at bat, and a quality of performance that you get from an everyday player. And Jesse Winker's not an everyday player, you know. And he makes me nervous because he's a Met killer. Met killers are known for one thing: killing the Mets. Killing the Mets. Hold on, I need a drink. So he's not a guy that I know that the media is going crazy for him because he's a media darling. Tom Flory says the Mets still have a team. Do you have an ass? Of course you do. The Mets have a team. It's ridiculous. Another dummy coming in here, and I'm the dummy because I did not fix my situation here. Did not fix my situation here. Wise ass. Do you have any kind of idea of what's going on there, clown face? Of course not. Of course not. So you come in here to say something sarcastic. That does not go fly well here. I forgot to monetize the live stream, by the way. If you're gonna say something sarcastic, you think you could have sent me some money involved? No, because you're a cheap bastard. That's why. You'd rather come in here. They're so bad. Yeah, they're a wild card team. They're so bad. Now we're gonna get inundated by this clown now. Now he's gonna get inundated by this clown because he wants the attention early in the morning. Now, in the meanwhile, as I fix the live stream up here, because he's got to, I set up that he has to subscribe to give me his sarcastic comments. Your host will say, I'll be back in a little bit. I'm from Flushing. I root for them. I don't think you do, but they're terrible. I think you're full of shit. I think you're full of shit, Tom. If you're a Met fan, you don't talk like that. And if you are a Met fan, you're self-loathing. You're self-loathing. And I've never seen you in this chat before. So I know you're not a Met fan. You're just a random asshole coming around here. You're just a random jerk. Trying to ruin people's good time by bringing up such nonsense. And I don't believe anything you say. I don't believe anything you say. Nothing. Why? Okay, Tom Flory says, why would you trade Wheeler to the Phillies? Well, hold on a second. Getting all screwed up here. Hold on a second. First of all, Tom, you don't know what you're talking about because the Mets did not trade Zach Wheeler to the Phillies. So I know right away that you're not a Mets fan. You would know that the Mets allowed him to walk the Wilpons. The Wilpons let him walk in free agency. Brody Van Wagenen let him walk. So, Tom, you're full of shit. You're not a Mets fan, okay? That's how I can tell you're not a Mets fan. And why are you bringing up stuff from 5 years ago? Okay, Wheeler never got traded from the Mets. They held on to him. His last year with the Mets was 2019. So you're bringing up stuff from 5 years ago that you're still pissed off. You're just picking out random stuff. That's why I know you're not a Met fan because because you root for him. He didn't say he's a Met fan. He just said he roots for them. So you come in here with all, oh, okay, you know, I don't know what your problem is. You complain about, you're out of here. I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm not going to go back and forth with this. I'm going to just sort of, I'm throwing you out of here because you just want to argue with me and bringing up stuff from I mean, think about it. He's coming in here and he's complaining about something from 5 years ago. Are you for real? That has nothing to do with today. Nothing. Hey, Rocky Marciano. Talking and complaining about Zach Wheeler from 5 years ago? Are you for real? You living in this reality? You living in this time frame? No, you're not. And since I don't recognize your name, you don't come around here. That's right. Skadooshed. To the Phantom Zone. Out of here. So long. Farewell. Goodbye. It is 2024. And you bring up Zach Wheeler, who hasn't pitched for the Mets in 5 freaking years. And you're bringing it up. Enjoy, excuse my language, enjoy the fucking games now. Enjoy the games now. Stop complaining about, and this is a different owner. Jesus Christ, this is crazy. This is my own fault because I didn't set up the channel the way I did the live stream the way, it's early in the morning here, folks. I was up late last night doing videos. I really was. Hopefully subscribe before he got sent off. Thank you. Next. The hell was I even talking about? He got me all screwed up here, this guy. He didn't sound like he rooted for the Mets. He sounds like he just wants to be an asshole. Yes, Muttley in Love has it correct. Foreseen Mikey didn't get it either. We didn't trade Wheeler to the Phillies. Management did. Ask them. Well, no, this management did not do that. And in fact, it was Brody Van Wagenen. Did not want to resign Zach Wheeler. Ask him. But yes, so I will have a live stream later. I'll have all the sort of all the stuff I need to have in here. What the hell is this? I'm getting email. So I have everything in place when I come back later at 2:00. If there's a trade or any kind of movement, your host will be back in a regular video. I'm gonna do so I have to run some errands after this live stream, and then we'll be back talking about our favorite team that we not only like and root for, but also don't complain about stuff from 5 years ago. I'm surprised you didn't start complaining about something from 35 years ago. That always seems to be the mantra too. My goodness. Complaining about Zach Wheeler. He's the type that didn't complain when he left. Now your host loves Zach Wheeler. I wanted the Mets to keep him, but I don't run the ball club. I always thought that Wheeler had a lot more inside in terms of the guts than say some of these other guys did, aside from Jacob deGrom. But and great stuff too. But you can't be mellowing something from 5 years ago. I mean, you lived your life like that. I don't live my life like that. Once a player leaves, goodbye. That's my attitude. It really is. That's why when Pete Alonso leaves, I'm going to be like, okay, next, just playing first. And that's going to be an interesting discussion for later. But let me go through a couple of names that are being discussed. And some of them, I mean, some of Jesse Winker. Before we get the hell, the guy got me all screwed up. Jesse Winker. He's not an everyday player. But the problem is that if, say, God forbid, you lose Michael Conforto, you got to play Winker in left field. Winker is not he can't play any other position. he's always a great bench player. He's great against lefties, but you can't play him in right. You can't play him in center. He's a lousy left fielder to begin with. If you brought in a guy, say Michael Conforto, Michael could play right field a little bit. He could play center field a little bit. I don't know how his legs are, and he can play left field. And you get more power out of him, and he's an everyday player. There's a big difference when you have an everyday player as opposed to a guy that's not playing every day. And Jesse isn't an everyday player. And I thought they should have done better. And knowing that this team struggles offensively at times, and they're struggling right now, and I know that Michael has done this in the past. He could hit, and I've said this about specifically about Pete Alonso, that not having the ability to have Pete on his consistent season, he's way below his year. Okay, in terms of the home runs and the RBIs, he's on pace for 31 home runs, 86 RBIs. Okay, you're going to be behind in terms of driving in runs, hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Now the Mets are second in base and second in the National League in home runs. I couldn't believe it, behind the Dodgers. But and again, home runs from everybody, but they're still going to need a little boost, specifically from not having Pete being able to do what he normally does. So I felt that I still feel this, that the Mets should have brought in Conforto. It didn't look like the Giants going to be selling anybody or trading anybody right now. They played really well this weekend and gotten them back into the race. Only 3.5 games behind the Mets, so I don't think they're going to be doing that. But I felt that a bat like Michael, I know Michael could hit 6 to 8 home runs the last 2 months of the season. I know that Michael can hit and drive in 20 to 30 runs the last 2 months of the season. Jesse Winker can't do that. So to me, that was something that I was very irritated. I was very irritated on Saturday when this trade came down, because I was about to go to bed, about to go to sleep, and I saw the trade. I had to do a video. I messed up the video because I mentioned Mike Vassell in the trade. I didn't have all the information. I saw his name pop up on Twitter, and I didn't say to myself that it was probably going to be Mike Vassell. And it turned out to be Tyler Stewart, which I thought was very interesting. The Mets gave up, but rather he's going to be a major league. Tyler Stewart is going to be in the majors. Whether he's a starter or as a reliever, he's going to be in the major leagues. Okay? And whether he's successful, he might be more successful out of the bullpen. That's not a bad thing, because everything is in the bullpen. But I felt that I thought they gave up a lot for Winker, considering Winker had terrible years the last 2 years. He didn't even hit 200 last year, Winker, and I thought that was it was a bit of a reach. Was a bit of a reach in terms of how much the Mets gave up. Um, I thought it was a bit much that they gave a Stewart in that move. I mean, he's a top, and some rankings. He's 17th to 20th in terms of prospects with the Mets. So I wasn't too happy that he got moved, but he got moved. And then we had the Ryan Stanek deal, who pitched yesterday, got completely destroyed against the Braves. And the Mets gave up Rylan Thomas, who's a top 30 prospect with the Mets coming into the season, according to MLB.com. But that's okay. I can live without him. That's not a big deal. But the pitching, I don't want to give up too much in the Mets pitching, because the Mets pitching and the farm system has really developed in a strong way. Brandon Sproat has been great. Jonah Thong has really emerged from the minor leagues, and I don't really want to give up too much pitching. Mets have a lot of depth in the middle infield, a lot of middle infielders that they're going to have to sort of sort through in this off season. Colin Houck, he had a terrible year. Jet Williams, who's been injured all year. Luis Angel Cunha's had a lousy year, and a few other guys. Mets are going to have to figure out what they want to do in the middle infield here. And, of course, Ronnie Mauricio who's been hurt all year, will get a long look from the Mets. Where he's going to play, I don't know. He is a very talented kid, but I don't know where the Mets are going to put him coming up next year. But anyway, so those were the deals we had the last couple of days. And of course, the Mets picked up Phil Maton a couple of weeks ago. But here are some of the names I've heard over the last few days that the Mets have been talking about. They talked to Eric Feed of the White Sox. Got to be very careful because even though he's pitched well this year, aside from him having his walk total downs, his walk total down, all his numbers are very similar. And the ERA is low. He's pitched rather well for probably one of the worst teams in the history of baseball. They might go down as the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox. But Eric Feed is not he's a bottom of the rotation, a number 5 starter. And he was not a very good major leaguer with the Washington Nationals. He went over to Korea last year, and I guess he was the MVP of the KBO. But the Mets have to be very careful with him. And you're going to be I know they wanted to sign him before the beginning of the season, but you have to be very, very careful. Mets have to be very, very smart about who they deal, specifically with him, because he has had a bad career up until this year. And whatever he's done in the KBO, God bless him. But that is not a situation that has to be monitored. You can be very careful with that. Blake Snell was a name that popped up yesterday because the Mets obviously were talking to the Giants about Michael Conforto. People were saying that, Snell, and I did a video on him, and it did really well. Snell is making $32 million this year. The Mets would not have to pay for that. They would just have to pay for the last rest of the contract, and they'd have to pay the competitive balancing tax, which would double the contract. So if he's making $32 million, 16's half a season, you're probably talking about $10 million plus whatever. That's $20 million they'd have to pay. Zachary Smith says this: was there rain out earlier in the season? Because I have the schedule here from last year, Zachary. Because I had the schedule from last year. Maybe did they get rained out in Atlanta? Because on my schedule here is 2 games. Let me go back. Yeah, 2 games. The last week of the season. The 24th and the 25th. Is there another day that they added, Zachary? Please tell me. Because I have the schedule here, but it's an old schedule. It's from the one they put out last year when they first put it out. It's from July 13th, 2023. So just let me know in the chat. Yeah, so Chanel's name came up, and obviously with the money, the Mets would have to pay double because of the luxury tax. The luxury tax, not a salary cap. Some guy was getting so angry with me the other day, complaining, saying I don't know what I'm talking about. Mets aren't paying him they're not paying him $90 million the next 2 years. This is foolish idea. Obviously, it doesn't seem like the Giants are moving anybody now because they're in it. They're being led by this kid, I guess Fitzgerald. What's his name? The shortstop that they called up from the minor leagues. Because he's played really well for them. Then we have Luis Garcia, who's the setup man for the Angels. Obviously, Carlos Estevez got dealt to the Phillies, which was a bit of a disappointment for me. I really wanted that guy on this club. But Garcia's pitched pretty good there. The Mets have been in talks with the Angels for a few weeks on Estevez, and I guess they've talked about Garcia. The prices right now, according to little Andy Martino, for all these pitchers is very, very high. But they are talking to Garcia, by the way. And then there's Jack Flaherty of the Tigers, who's got a 1-year deal. He is the same situation. The prices are very high for him. I wouldn't mind him. He's pretty good. He's pitched in big games with the Cardinals, pitched big games for the Orioles last year. Again, about the Orioles and the Tigers, they're right now talking about Tariq Skubal. If there's one team that could pull that trade off, it's the Orioles, because they can dangle Jameson. They can dangle Jackson Holiday if they want to. Then there's Trevor Rogers, another player from the Giants. I really liked if the Mets had gotten him, but it doesn't seem that, again, the Giants are moving anybody. Then we have UC Kikuchi, whose name popped up last night. I did a video on him earlier, and his name popped up during the night. I did that video late last night. I posted about an hour and a half ago. It's a small video. It's about 3 minutes long. If you want to check it out, great. And I'm not too enamored with him. He walks a lot of batters. Well, that's funny. All of them pitchers walk a lot of batters. But he's pitched okay up there in Toronto. The Blue Jays are in a weird spot. They're at the point of, doing like a partial sell. So it seems they still want to keep on holding on to Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They're not ready to bite the bullet yet. So they're not ready to bite that bullet yet. Then we have Jameson Taillon, whose name popped up as well. He's with the Cubs. Now the Cubs did the biggest trade surprise so far. They traded Christopher Morel, the Catman, to the Rays for Isaac Paredes. So that was a surprise yesterday. That was a big trade that took place. That was a trade from now and in the future. You got guys that are like under team control for several years, and they made that trade. It was such a surprise trade because on my list, I had not seen anybody mention the Cubs for Isaac Paredes. So, but Taillon is an interesting pitcher because he's pitched in big games, and he's pitched rather well for the Yankees back when. So he is a guy to keep an eye on. But like I said, the prices are very high. And with Taillon and the Cubs, it doesn't seem like the Cubs are too quick to move him because he's not a free agent next year. And he's pitched rather well for them. I mean, the Cubs, what a disaster. I mean, they had so much expectation, but they didn't really bring in any big players. They just re-signed Cody Bellinger, and they brought in Craig Counsell, thinking that Craig Counsell can play. It says that sometimes it's all about the players a lot of times and less about the manager. Because Pat Murphy is the manager in Milwaukee, they're in first place. Craig Counsell's the manager in Chicago, and they're not first place. They're in last place. The $900 million manager is in last place. I love it. Didn't want to sign with the Mets? F you. The Mets are in better shape than your team is. Because your team did not spend a lot of money and didn't do more than they should have done to make themselves better. I mean, they got Amanaga, but who would expect him to pitch as well as he has? So, all right. So let's go do some of the players here that have been moved and some of the players that are rumored to be moved. And I got my whole list here. I added some names to it, believe it or not. Added some names. I probably should add Taillon on this list before I forget. But, there's plenty of players on this list. So many players now on this list that could get moved. And hopefully we'll see some moves over the next couple of days. Obviously, tomorrow is the trade deadline at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be on here live. Like I said, very disappointed this morning because I wanted to be outside for you. Hopefully the weather will hold up tomorrow. It should hold up. I haven't heard anything. But it was raining here a little while ago, so I wouldn't been able to I can't bring my equipment outside and get it wet. And it was raining pretty heavy here, so it wasn't like a little drizzle. But we have over 90 names on this list. A lot of names been crossed off because the Mets have played so well. This whole list was a Mets list. And about 13 Mets names on this list. And they're all crossed off because they're not getting moved. Let me start off and a lot of the stuff gets skipped around. You start writing notes down. The first name on this list, and he's a player that got traded. That's Austin Hayes. He went from the Orioles to the Phillies. Now, whenever there's a trade or a super chat, I ring the bell. But Austin Hayes went to the Phillies in a pretty interesting trade. Interesting. He's a pretty good outfielder with the Orioles. They picked up a bunch of relievers, most notably Sir Anthony Dominguez, Tariq Skubal. It seems that Baltimore and the Tigers are intensifying their talks. If there's one team that could pull off a trade with this particular pitcher, Skubal, it is the Orioles because they have a lot of prospects and a lot of positional prospects, and really they have a major league team in AAA. Hold on, I need a drink. Glug, 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 glug. Blake Snell, but I would mention about Skubal. Baltimore, the Yankees, the Tigers, and the Braves are in on it. Jackson Holiday, if he gets moved, it'll probably be for Skubal. I don't know if they're going to move him. But like I said, the Orioles have such a deep roster in their AAA team. They don't have to trade Jackson Holiday. They could trade a whole bunch of guys that aren't generational players and that are elite players for Skubal and still have stuff in the farm system. The one thing about the Orioles farm system is their pitching isn't that deep. It's all position players with the Orioles. So that's why they've been trading all these position players for pitchers. In particular, this Corbin Burns, and right before the season started. Blake Snell. I've heard the Padres, the Yankees, and the Mets, but it doesn't look like he's getting moved. Then we have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I don't think he's getting moved, but I heard the Padres, the Yankees, the Mariners, Washington, Houston, and the Cubs. Tommy Pham. I've heard Atlanta, the Braves. Atlanta is the Braves. The hell, I'm all right. Atlanta, the Mets, Orioles, the Yankees, and Seattle. Seattle's going to be active as always. It doesn't take much. The phone rings, and Jerry's ready to big deals. It's Jerry DePoto. Luis Robert Jr., the Phillies, the Mariners, the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been awfully quiet. The Braves, the Orioles, and the Yankees. Mason Miller, I don't think he's getting moved. Garrett Crochet, he's doesn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. All right, then, Mason. But we've heard the Yankees, the Phillies, and Baltimore. I'm sorry. With Garrett Crochet. Baltimore, the Yankees, Dodgers, the Mets, and the Padres. But the price is extremely high for him. Tyler Anderson, I've heard the Mets, Houston, and Pittsburgh. Eric Feed, I mentioned him, but put other teams on here. Heard the Mets, the Brewers. The Brewers have a very good farm system. Houston, St. Louis, the Guardians, and the Braves. Chaz Chisholm got traded. He got traded to the Yankees, which I think is hysterically funny. He's such a Yankee type player, isn't he? All buttoned up. Taylor Ward. I've heard the Phillies, the Braves, the Pirates, the Royals, the Minnesota Twins. Tanner Scott. He's got a boatload of teams on him. The Yankees, the Phillies, the Orioles, the Dodgers, the Mets, Kansas City, Arizona, who's in great shape right now, Seattle, and the Braves. Bo Bichette, I don't think he's going to get moved, but there were teams mentioned. We had the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Cleveland Guardians. James Paxton, traded to the Red Sox. Jake McCarthy, the Phillies. Carlos Estevez got traded to the Phillies. Elias Diaz, we've heard the Guardians, the Yankees, the Nationals, Pirates, and the Padres. Luis Rengifo, he's going to get moved. I don't know where, but I only have 2 teams attached to him. I'm sure there's more, but the Yankees and the Royals are all over this thing. Brent Rooker, I don't think he's getting moved. I think the A's are going to be very, very quiet, but I've heard Kansas City, the Phillies, and the Mariners. Randy Arozarena got traded. Got traded to the Mariners, and the Mariners haven't lost a game. Cody Bellinger, we've had the Yankees, the Rangers, the Phillies, Houston, Washington, and Seattle. Nico Horner, Seattle. Mike Conforto, I don't think he's getting moved, but I've heard the Mets, and I put Seattle and Milwaukee because they're looking for an outfield. an outfielder. Jake Flaherty, the Braves, Cleveland, Houston, and the Mets. Zach Eflin, trade to the Orioles. Danny Jansen, trade to the Red Sox. Yimi Garcia, traded to the Mariners. Yandy Diaz, Houston, Seattle, Pittsburgh. Yusi Kikuchi have heard two teams, the Mets and the Astros. Trevor Richards is out there. Kyle Finnegan's going to have a lot of teams on him, but specifically the Mets, the Yankees, and the Brewers. The Mets have obviously made this deal with the Nationals. Maybe they come to some kind of agreement on Finnegan. He's pretty good. Harvey Hunter, traded to the Royals. Let me try this again. Traded to the Royals. Michael Kopech, I've heard the Mets. Pete Fairbanks, I've heard the Yankees prominently and the Mets. Jesse Winker, traded to the Mets. John Brabia. Lane Thomas has the Mariners and the Royals on him. Cal Quantrill, Houston, Milwaukee, San Francisco. Austin Gomber. I've heard the Guardians, the Astros, and the Brewers. Trevor Rogers, I put the Mets on there. Andrew Chafin, I put the Mets on there, I believe with the Tigers. Luis Garcia, the Mets, the Yankees, Kansas City, Boston, and I'm sure there's a boatload of players, a boatload of teams there. Dylan Floro, I've heard the Mets. Paul DeJong, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Mariners. Josh Bell kind of is put on waivers. He still could get traded, but he's put on outright waivers. He's with the Marlins. Josh Bell has teams on him: Yankees, the Mariners, Houston, Washington, and Pittsburgh. Jason Adams has been mentioned. Griffin Canning, Lucas Urseg, Isaac Paredes, traded to the Cubs. Christopher Morel, traded in return to the Rays. Zach Eflin, the Yankees, the Braves, the Dodgers, and Houston. AJ Puck, traded. Riley De La Cruz, I've heard the Pirates. Wilmer Flores might not be moved now. Mike Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski's grandson. The Mariners and the Brewers, I mentioned them. They haven't been rumored, but I mentioned them because they're looking for a left-handed hitting outfielder. Ryan McMahon for the Yankees, the Dodgers, and Kansas City. Jose Soriano, Cleveland, St. Louis, and the Braves. Garrett Mitchell, I've heard the Mets, although he might not get moved. Mark Canha's out there. The Phillies, he's a Philly killer. Don't see too many of those. The Mariners and the Brewers. Trevor Bauer, his name came up. That the Phillies were thinking about him. I would stay hell away from him. Chad Green, maybe the Mets. I didn't put them down, but the Phillies and the Yankees. Matt Chapman, I was hearing was with the Yankees, but we'll see. Obviously, with the Giants, what they decide to do. Michael Lorenzen, which I did a video on him last night. Milwaukee and the Mets would be very interested in him. John Gray. I mentioned John Gray last night. He got hurt in the start yesterday, so he might not get moved now. He's got an issue with his groin, I think, with his leg, so he's not going to get moved, I don't think. And Jameson Taillon. So we'll see. And I mentioned the Mets with him. I would think that the Brewers will be in on him as well. Although maybe the Cubs wouldn't make a deal. Maybe the Brewers would want to. Cubs would want to make a deal with the Brewers, but these are the names, folks. These are some of the names of the players, and we'll have more bells ringing. The bell will ring some more, a hell of a lot more. It's going to get crazy. People's ears will be ringing with all these trades that are going to be coming down the pipe over the next 2 days. Again, I'll be back again around 2 o'clock to talk about the Mets and what's going on in Major League Baseball. And, of course, if you like this monkey crap, if you like this stuff, no, this is great stuff. All kidding aside, I love doing it. You want to hit the subscribe button. I'll be back later. We'll talk about the Mets. The challenge gets so awfully close to 5,000 subs. That's the big goal. Really, the ultimate goal is to get to 100,000 subs. I think if I got this channel up to 30,000 subs, 50,000 subs, I could probably retire from my job and just do this full time. Because I was thinking about that the last few days. Love to do this on a regular basis for you. Talk about the Mets minor league system here with you. Talk about trades, everything for you here. And have fun. We all have fun here. This is a very different channel. I don't care what I say. I think I've said this many times. I don't care what I say. And and we have a lot of fun here, or at least I do. I don't know about you. I have tons of fun here. It's a lot of fun being able to do these videos for you, and and that's that, and that's it. Now the next couple of days, again, I'll be back again tonight or this afternoon at 2 o'clock. I got to run some errands. Got to get lunch, and I got to figure out what the hell I'm having for dinner. Tyler Kai says, "Do we want Gallegos? Did he get like sent off? Didn't he get like DFA'd or something, or released or something? I don't know. I don't think so. Um, he's not having a good year, right? I don't think he is, Todd. Um, but I'll be back again at 2 o'clock. I'll take the show until I guess until game time. I guess until the game comes on at 6:30, or at least pregame. Hopefully, we'll have a trade. Like I said, if there is a trade between now and the 2 o'clock show, there'll be a video up. There'll probably be a video up later anyway for you to watch. Um, and then after the game, we'll do a post game show, and hopefully, we'll have a trade during the game. And then there'll be videos up if there's a trade during the game. And then tomorrow, there'll be again a video. It's not a big video. Who the hell knows what's going to be? I don't post great videos at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's just to get content on here and just send. That's why I put that Kikuchi video up at 8 o'clock. I didn't even put it on a timer. I forgot to I forgot to edit it this morning. Edit it last night. So I had a video last night for you on Lorenzen and Gray, and Nathan Evaldi too. But but this channel's gonna be very busy for you. We're gonna have plenty of videos coming up, and even after the trade deadline, you're gonna have a lot of videos. You're gonna have at least 3 videos on this channel every day. Might not have a live stream every day, but we're certainly gonna have a lot of videos on here for you. And then tomorrow is the big day. It's the trade deadline. I'll be back again at 9 o'clock. I swear I'll be outside. I really wanted to be outside for this show today. I think it's clear. I think it stopped raining now, but I was so mad when I got up and it was raining out because I didn't think it was going to rain today. I think we were going to have good weather for a good portion of this week, especially the beginning of the week. So I was really ticked off that I couldn't do a show for you outside. And since there's rain in the forecast today, I'm not going to do a show later outside. And plus, when the way the sun is by the house here, it'll be behind me. I don't want to get a big sunburn. I want to get a sunburn on my neck. So that's why doing a live stream in the morning was great because everything was in the shade because it's under the tree, and the sun, the way the house is, the sun comes up this way, so I don't have to worry too much about any kind of sunburn or the sun on my face or anything like that. But yeah, so we'll have a show tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll go on to about 10:30, 11. And of course, we'll be back at 2 o'clock and just we'll take the show all the way to the deadline, probably till about 6:30. And then after the game, this is tomorrow night, I'll have a live stream after. So this is going to be a very busy channel for you. I hope you like this. I know some people have subbed in since I've been doing this particular show, and my own sort of wanting to jump on. I forgot to monetize the video, but I'll monetize it after the fact. Once I'm done with this live stream, I'll monetize it. Got to keep reminding myself. But so this has been a fun month and a half. I mean, really 2 months now. The Mets playing as well as they have, and again, the guy earlier, my goodness, complaining about Zach Wheeler. He's not a Met fan. He just wants to get us all upset and worrying about stuff from the past. So, but like I said, I want this channel to be. This is the best Mets channel you can find on YouTube. It's not like the other channels, where I'm trying to get along with everybody. That's the one thing about the Mets YouTubers. They're some of the most unfriendliest group of people. They don't want to collaborate unless they're with their friends, which is fine, whatever. But it doesn't help in terms of what you're trying to do. With the comic book side, everybody really wants a network. Okay, the networks are very strong, and there's always infighting, but their networks are very strong. On this side, it's the media, and all these other channels, they all want to be in the media, And when you have people that want to be reporters, I want to be the first to get a trade out. Then you're not your own man. You're not your own boss. I'm my own boss. And I don't want to deal with that. And I also don't want to deal with the gambling aspect of what's going on in Major League Baseball. It's a lot of gamblers around. It's funny, they got this big Pete Rose documentary on HBO. I've not watched it because the games have been on. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I know that they were talking about how good it was yesterday on the radio. Howie Rose was talking about how good it was. I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure they'll play it again. Let's see. Uh, let's see. All right. There's some John Heyman. Royals are among many teams interested in Michael Lorenzen, who is available, as Joel Sherman reported, would fit the Mets and others too. So I got to add the Royals now to my list of teams interested in Lorenzen. Lorenzen is going to get moved. He is a trade deadline darling. Trade deadline darling. He's one of these guys that's always getting traded before the deadline. All right, this is from John Heyman. Mets continue to look at both rotation and pen even after acquiring two relievers. Well, they should be. So, like I said, if there is a trade that happens between now and 2 p.m., I will be back. This is from John Morosi. Tigers and Orioles are remaining in contact on a possible Tariq Skubal trade, but there's no deal close to this hour. That was an hour ago. 13 minutes ago. Kyle Stowers, 26, is one of the many names who could factor into this conversation. He started in center field yesterday for AAA Norfolk and has nothing left to prove in his minor leagues. He has a 797 OPS and limited action at the MLB level this season. I don't know this player. This is not a player that I've noticed that is a big player with the Orioles farm system. Um, but that's interesting. So the Mets are still looking for help. They're still looking for bullpen help, obviously, and a starter. They need a starter, and they need two bullpen arms. They need a lefty desperately, because you can't go with Jake Diekman. He's a Deke. He's a Deke. All right, here's some more stuff. This is from Joe DeMayo. He's a minor league guy. Always covering the Mets minor leagues. Joe DeMayo said this. Blake Snell, Yusei Kikuchi, Eric Feed, Michael Lorenzen could all be starting pitching fits that are reportedly available. Tanner Scott, Andrew Chafin, Michael Kopech are among probably a good handful of relievers available. So this is all the names I've discussed in this live stream. Um, that are players pitchers that the Mets could seek. Now, the thing about Blake Snell is even though the Giants have played well, he's got a lot of money on him. And you want to trade him to a team that can afford that money. And he's got a player option. Now, if he pitches well down the stretch for any team, he's going to opt out. He's a Scott Boras player. He didn't get a good contract. They screwed up. I tell you, Scott Boras screwed up so many free agents this past offseason. And he was one of them. JD Martinez was one. Cody Bellinger. All their free agencies were all screwed up this offseason because it wasn't a very good market. So again, I'll be back later. I'll be back later at 2:00. Let's see what else is going on here. If there's a trade, I'll have a video up for you. Let's see. Yeah, they're all going crazy for Eric Feed. It makes me very nervous. This is what you want. You want silence during these streams. Uh, Basically everything I said. But again, we'll be back later. I'll be back later, and of course, hopefully, you'll be back to watch the show. Hear the bell ring. We'll get some more bells rung here, and we'll talk more about the Mets and Major League Baseball and whatever else piques my interest. I'll talk whatever I want to talk about here. Yeah, you never know. Might be talking about some other actress that I'm googling over. But yeah, so later today I'll be back at 2:00. Do a long stream, and of course I'll have a live stream after the Met game tonight. If there's a trade between now and 2:00, there'll be a video up. I am going out. I'll try to get a video up as quickly as I can for you. And of course, I'll have a video up during the game discussing if there's been a move during the Met game. I did that on Friday. Those videos did really well. And that's it. And then I'll come back after the game. You'll have some videos in the morning. There'll be a live stream, obviously, like I said, at 9:00. And of course, we're gonna take this all the way to the trade deadline, start at 2:00 to 6:30ish here tomorrow, and that's gonna be a big show. And then, of course, I'll be back again live after the game, and then you'll have plenty of videos during the week and really move forward. I decided to do 3 videos a day for you here, so I really want to grow this channel. We're getting awfully close to getting this channel at 5,000 subscribers, and that's a big number, obviously. That's a big number. That's a milestone. And I want to thank you for coming by. And then after that, the next milestone is 10,000 subscribers, and I think we'll get there, or you'll get me there. And of course, share the live stream, and let people know that this is a great Mets channel. If you love the Mets, if you love what's going on with the club, share this with your friends. So, thank you for watching. I'll be back later, and I'll see you later.